welcome to the Horror Hangout podcast, where three bearded film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time. My name is Luke Condor with Kate. I'm joined by my regular co-host, Mr.
Ben Errington.
And that other regular co-host, Mr.
Andy Conduit Turner. Hello, everybody.
He's back. Where
again.
did you go last week, Andy? What did you see?
What did you see? See anything good?
You know, as recording this in 2021, didn't go too far, but yeah, it was a nice week. It is nice, actually, as much as I enjoy your company every week. It's nice to sometimes listen back to an episode when I'm not around, and you know, taking a conversation about horror movies, and then it all starts to blur in my mind. It's like, was I on that one? Did I say things? Sometimes I'll just listen to the episode in my kitchen and just chat along.
Yeah.
Like to play along with a name game. I was with you last week, Luke. I think you were unfairly criticised for some of those names. I thought they were all excellent, and I definitely got A Girl Walks Home Alone 2, Lost in New York at Home at night.
I'm always nearly there, but not quite on the same wavelength. And,
I didn't think you knew what the original film was called, but you kept having to remind yourself what it was called. Andy, what did you rate? Sorry, go on, Ben.
I had to get the name of the film up in front of me so I could, because I just kept saying just random things. Yeah. What were you going to say then?
I was going to say, Andy, what would you rate A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night?
I haven't got around to watching it yet, so I can't give it a fair rating. But I have read the comics.
You've read the comics?
Okay.
Yeah, I got them on a digital sale a while back. I'm not sure I've got all the volumes. I've read at least a couple though. They're good.
I would like to check them out. Definitely. Defo. Yeah, but it was a good. You recently did work out how many episodes you've been on with us, right?
Yeah. I was looking at Podchaser, and I think if I've tagged all of them appropriately, it was 39, and I hadn't done Wrong Turn yet, so it must be 40 now. So now 41.
Amazing. So that's a significant chunk. Maybe we should make an Andy Conduit Turner official playlist, you know, for people who like the format of the show when it's the three of us.
So people can tune in or avoid as is their preference.
Exactly. We want to make sure everyone knows what they're getting themselves in for. So, yeah, could be good.
I can't log into my Podchaser. I can't remember what login I used. Oh well.
Luke at Condor. Yeah, sorry. Any horror news? Don't ask me.
Really? But you're the horror news guy.
I know. Yeah, I've got some.
I'll Google it. Horror news.
Horror news. What is the first thing that comes up?
Amityville horror killer dies in prison at 69.
Yeah, I saw that and I didn't add it to the horror news thing because I thought, yeah,
good reason.
Don't need any more attention, mate.
Yeah.
So the first piece of horror news I've got is a sad one. Is that Alien and Freddy's Dead star Yaphet Kotto has passed away. That was only a couple of days ago at the age of 81. So obviously famous for quite a few major roles. I think he was in a Bond movie as well, didn't he? I think he was in Live and Let Die. He was Dr. Kananga, if I remember that. Can anyone confirm that? I haven't got it wrong.
That sounds right. But I haven't seen Live and Let Die in many years.
His role in Alien was the big one. But yeah, he was in Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare as well as a character named Doc. So rest in peace. Rest in peace, Yaphet. Other horror news, we've got Showtime has apparently ordered a pilot episode of a vampire series, Let the Right One In, with Demian Bichir set to star. I recognise that name, but I don't know where from. How do you feel about a series of that? Oh, Demian Bichir is the guy from... Is it the guy from The Artist? No, it's not. I've mugged myself off. He's in The Hateful Eight. That's what he's in.
Okay. I mean, I really like Let the Right One In. I'm not sure, does it need a whole series? It felt quite contained as it was. I mean, a quiz show, definitely, where three people come to your door. One of them is a vampire. You got to be careful.
It's like Blind Date.
Yeah.
I suppose because the kids went off, out onto their life, and we believe the young boy was basically going to take the place of the older guy who died.
Just their day-to-day adventures, like the littlest.
Just their day-to-day adventures, yeah.
They get off the train at a stop, kill the bullies in a little town, and then get on their way back on the train.
From what I see here, though, it looks like it's vetoed the film, and it might be like something from before the events of the film. So apparently the series centers on that guy, Demian Bichir, who's also in.
Guy.
He's the handler, and his 12-year-old daughter. Oh, wait. And his 12-year-old daughter, whose lives have changed forever 10 years earlier when she was turned into a vampire. So 12 years old, 22 in the brain.
Weird. It must be completely different then to the...
Yeah, so it looks like it's a completely different
thing. So it's implied
thing.
that like maybe that first guy, maybe it's the different guy, but he's there with her when she first becomes a vampire.
Looking at this, it looks like it's going to be a completely different story, but vampire kids, taking that in. Don't know how I feel about TV shows based on horror movies, because I think that the last experience I had with one was the Exorcist show, which was all right for a bit, but then got pretty bad. It's got, what's her name in it? Gina Davis.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who honestly seemed like she was just half asleep. I was always like, is Gina Davis all right? Is she all right? Is this acted? I don't know if it is.
I think there are places for like horror film inspired series. I probably got a little bit more time for, you know, like those that are anthologies, you know, by their very nature, like a Twilight Zone, or maybe in the vein of what we saw from like, you know, like Freddy's Nightmares, which was, you know, again, short horror fiction. Freddy's there maybe occasionally, but it's not just stringing out the plot of the movie over, you know, 30, 40 hours instead of 2. My mom liked Bates Motel for a while, but I've never really watched much of it.
Well, I know there's the Snowpiercer TV show at the minute. So it's big on Netflix. And I didn't really want to watch it because I was like, the movie's so good. I don't know if I really want to spend that much time. It's like on a second season now. But Carl Hughes, audio editor extraordinaire, said it's better than the film. I don't know if I believe him, but someone thinks it's better than the film.
I'd heard it wasn't all that great, but you know.
Oh. Did you catch Carl
I haven't seen it, so I can't. Yeah, Carl, what's this I hear about Snowpiercer's film, TV show being better than the film? I mean, what are you talking about? I've not seen it, so I can't decide.
So, listeners, decide who you trust more, Ben or audio editor Carl. And,
Ben or audio editor Carl, who isn't on the show every week. All right? I mean, who's got more knowledge when it comes to these things?
Careful, Ben. He could edit you saying anything.
Good. That noise I just made then, he could just auto-tune the hell out of it. He can get me singing Tiny Dancer. I'd like that. Anything.
Any other news?
What else? Yeah, so Joe Cornish says that he and John Boyega are working on a potential sequel to Attack the Block. Andy, you mentioned Attack the Block recently as a potential episode for us to do on this podcast, which is a great idea. But it's 10 years old now, which is kind of crazy because it doesn't feel like it was that long ago. But I guess it was the first time we were introduced to John Boyega as sort of film fans. So yeah, he says we're working on it at the moment. John was around my place a few weeks ago and we sat in the garden, socially distanced, got to add that, talking about story ideas until it was so dark we couldn't see each other. Turn the light on. So yeah, we're working on that. It sounds like they've just had a conversation and now it's become we're making the movie. Just had
it's got to be like, maybe that's a movie play as like a, you know, like a director or, you know, working these names, a bit like Ryan Reynolds, like leaking that Deadpool footage. If you say it and then there's enough response for it, then effectively that gets you your pitch interviews, right, and your pitch meetings.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
You know, obviously John Boyega's a huge star now, where he was a relative unknown when the original came out. So
Joe Cornish only done the 2 films. Am I missing one?
He's had a part to play in a few more. Like, obviously we don't know how much of it made it to the final product, but he was involved with Edgar Wright's Ant-Man.
Yeah,
and the kid who would be king is related to Joe Cornish.
He's only directed 2 films, right?
Just about to say that, yeah.
Apparently it's
Yeah.
good though. Like I think was it one of those that was like it sort of sank without too much trace, but people who have
Yeah.
watched it say it's good.
I've heard good
I
things
feel
about
really
it. Joe,
bad for not watching it because Joe Cornish is one of those people I would support him doing anything. Like he's such a talented, funny guy. I feel like I really should have gone to the cinema to watch that, but it didn't look quite like my thing.
No, I think it was
Yeah.
just one of those for me. Again, I would have gone and seen it, but I'm just not sure how much play it got. Was it one of those that you think, oh, I'll go and watch that next week, and then next week it's on once a day at a time that anyone, most people are at work.
Kid who was king for a week,
Kid who was
and
Joe Cornish is 52 years old. That is
I know.
mad. That is
Don't say that. I'll just
madness.
literally crumble to dust.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
feel like. I'm just gonna turn into like a mummy, a Nooks of the Moon, just crumble to
Cinema.
Nooks of the Moon.
Luke's face.
And what else? Also, have you heard of a movie called Troll, which is being made by the director of Tomb Raider, Roar? What the hell's his name?
Is that his
Roar
name?
Uthaug. Yeah, Roar. His name's Roar. He's making a film called Troll, which is going to be on Netflix. It's going to be like a monster movie, and he's shared a concept image, which is like a troll, like as big as Godzilla, absolutely massive. And yeah, it's got
Troll Hunter by any chance. Oh, I've got
that's what I thought, but I don't think it's linked to that at all. He said it's based on the Norwegian folklore, but
Based on
yeah,
the trolls.
so based on the bloody trolls, mate. It's currently set to stomp its way onto Netflix. Someone at Bloody Disgusting is getting paid.
Wow, his name is
He's getting paid for
Raw.
that. Set sometime in 2022, apparently. Yeah,
Oh.
that's pretty impressive, right?
Yeah, sign me up
Cool.
for that. I've already got a Netflix account. I'll be on.
Yeah, there we go. That looks fun. So if you like Troll Hunter, then that's probably going to be something to check out. That's it. That's all I've got for horror news. Nothing else happened in the world of horror.
Have you guys been watching anything? Playing anything? Tasting anything?
Tasting
Particularly
anything?
scary? Yeah!
What about you?
This cheese sandwich.
Cheese sandwich, bloody terrifying. It's got pickle in it. Yeah. Andy, have you watched anything this week?
I am still playing my way through the Blair Witch game.
Oh yeah.
Not quite done with it. I haven't had too much time this week, so I'm still plodding my way slowly through that. I get a feeling I know what it's going for. Now, I tried to avoid spoilers. I just the only way I did spoil it for myself was looking to make sure that I was aware I could make sure the dog didn't die, because I don't need that kind of energy in my life right now. But apart from that, I'm playing. I would argue that there are some horror or surreal elements to it. I'm playing the sequel to Super Hot, Mind Control Delete, on the Xbox. It's on Game Pass, and I think I was talking to some of you guys, Luke. I know you were involved in it, talking about the VR version.
Mm-hmm.
It's got like a horror thriller sci-fi element to the limited story that's in Super Hot, but it's mostly just a fun game about shooting red dudes.
Yeah, I really, really like the VR one. I've not played it outside of VR. I don't know what it would be like.
It's
you
good.
playing
It's
it-
very different.
Yeah.
Because obviously the VR one, you're largely static, right? Like
Mhm.
you're on the spot and you're
Yeah.
grabbing things that are around you. In the regular game, you're moving around an environment, and the same logic applies. For anyone who hasn't played it, like time only moves when you move, or moves very, very slowly
Yeah.
when you don't move. So it's kind of an action shooter, kind of a puzzler, and you can run around and you're picking items up and throwing them at people, or punching guns out of people's hands and then shooting them until you run out of bullets. Then you throw the gun at a person.
Yeah.
Or you'll pick up samurai swords and chop bullets in half as they come through the air. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's in VR. Like it genuinely gives you that I'm an action hero vibe. Like you're picking up a frying pan and blocking bullets for that as you grab a gun from someone else and throw it at their head and run out of bullets and stuff. It's really good. It's really
Still
good fun.
throw an ashtray at someone. That's what I
Yeah. Yeah.
Great
It's
times.
it's a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm not sure what the VR version does in terms of story, but there's some weird elements to the to the main one about this guy sort of losing his agency to this
Like a
game /
pyramid or
sinister
something.
program.
I don't know. The VR. Oh, actually, because the VR one, I don't know if it's a spoiler, but you put on a VR headset, like you're in the real world, and you load a floppy disk in this game console, and you put on the headset, and you go inside the levels. Does that, and to get out and to get back out, you have to shoot yourself in the head, and like it kind of falls out of the headset.
In
Does that
the
not happen in the?
in the main one, there's kind of little cutaways where you're like in a workplace, and again, Superhot is like a game that you found on your work computer, and there's conversations he has on like an instant messenger back and forth with a colleague. And
That's so
it starts off he's
yeah.
talking about playing the game, and then he gets a warning from a mysterious force that says, "Don't be playing any more Superhot. You've had enough." And he keeps playing it, and then later on he's having conversations where what he has typed is being changed to Superhot, 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 and then you go and you shoot yourself in the back of the head. Yeah, it's weird, but it's a lot of fun. It's a great game.
Yeah, I want to play it then. It sounds great. I love the Superhot vibe. What about you, Ben? Played anything? Watched anything?
I haven't really been playing much. I watched a few things. I watched the Pacific Rim, the Black anime series on Netflix, which was really good. I haven't seen the second movie of Pacific Rim, but this was great. Adds some interesting elements to the lore. It's not just kaiju versus Jaeger. There's a lot of extra little bits and bobs. So yeah, definitely recommend that. It's only like eight half-an-hour episodes as
How
well.
is
So
the
it felt like a night.
animation, Ben? Like, how would you describe the style? Is it computer generated? Is it like, what's the?
It's like anime style, anime,
Like the Netflix
2D
anime
anime,
thing.
the Netflix 2D anime thing. Yeah, so
Yeah.
Like a
it's cool.
Castlevania?
Yeah, very much
Oh,
like
nice. Oh, I'll give it a go then.
Yeah, give it a go. I when I saw the trailer, I thought it looks pretty cool.
In my head, when you said it about when, I don't know where my head went to when you first went to like a Pacific Rim, I was like reboot, the
Oh,
niche
right.
90s,
Yeah.
like early CG thing. But no.
It's like a post-apocalyptic setting as well. So if you're into that
Ooh.
sort of stuff, which I know Luke, you're on a
Yeah.
kick
Yeah,
for that
you're on a
recently.
binge, aren't you, Luke?
On a
Yeah.
binge. So obviously, just something a little bit different to what the movies. To be fair, I can't remember the first movie all that well. I remember liking it, but
I really like it. It's quite cheesy, but in a good way.
yeah.
The one
and
with
I've
the
seen a
sword,
few.
right? They have a sword the whole time. They use it
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think so.
like a Megazord.
I've seen a few movies. I'll just quickly whiz through them. I saw Bringing Out the Dead, the Martin Scorsese, Nicolas Cage movie where he's a burned out paramedic. Really good. I've seen it before, but it doesn't feel like a Scorsese film, like at all, really. It's kind of like a weird nightmarish thriller. New York City is really good. It's full of sleazy, weird characters. It's like quite trippy, but it's actually quite funny in places as well. And it's a really chilled out Nicolas Cage performance. He's just like, do you know what I mean? He never really loses his nut. Maybe like for 10 seconds or something. But yeah, I definitely recommend that. I did see Monster Hunter as well, the Paul W.S. Anderson adaptation of the video games
Oh
with
yeah.
How is it?
Mila Jovovich. I mean, it's just pretty naff, you know. It's pretty underwhelming. It just never really seems to get going. And for a film called Monster Hunter, it feels like it just goes over the same sort of things over and over again. It's like, okay, here's a monster, but you know, in terms of story, it's all a bit all over the place. And when it finally seems like it's kicking up a notch, I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but when it finally seems like it's kicking up a notch, it doesn't. Mila Jovovich seems great and having fun in it. I really like her in this as opposed to super powered, over the top Alice from the Resident Evil movies, because it feels like, I don't know, in this it feels like she's just letting loose a bit more. And just a bit more of a laid back role. And
Now,
Rob
I'll say
Perlman,
this for Mila Jovovich. I think she has a certain reputation because of the film she is in. You know, and you know what, they are what they are. You know what, they probably, if you look at Resident Evil Lane, they make a lot of money. Why do anything different, right? But
yeah,
I feel like when you do see her in something where she plays something a little bit differently, I think she is a better actor than the films that she is in might give her credit for. I think if she was in different things and she was being pushed into different directions, not just, I have a superpower and I'm fighting zombies. I think she's perfectly.
It's just this. It's
perfectly
a
good.
little bit more fun. I wasn't blown away by the film, but she's having a bit more fun, and Tony Jaa's in it as well, and they've got a little bit of chemistry. It's pretty cool. It's good to have two leads who've got chemistry, and it's not like a love interest sort of chemistry. And Ron Perlman's in it as well with a fantastic wig, like a fantastic wig.
That sounds
Like
good.
as soon as I saw him, I was like, that cannot be what his hair is like in this film. It's unbelievable. It's like a character all on its own.
Where are you putting this in your? Where are you putting this in your ranking of video game movies, Ben?
Oh, I mean, it's pretty low. It really didn't. But then I've not really played Monster Hunter, so I'm not probably the right person to say that. But pretty low. I wasn't blown away by it. It was pretty one note for me. But then I did watch after that. I thought, I feel like watching some Resident Evil, but I don't feel like watching Mila Jovovich Resident Evil. So I started watching the animated movies. Obviously, we're getting an animated series on Netflix this year and loads of Resident Evil stuff. So I thought I'd watch these. So I watched Resident Evil Degeneration, the CGI animated, 3D animated movie. And, it's pretty good.
So, is that recent? Is that new or?
No, this is quite
10
old.
years old, right?
This is like 10 years old. So there's three. I'm going to watch all three, but I only watched the first one. So Degeneration is like 2008. It's got Leon S. Kennedy, Claire Redfield. And there's like the first half's like zombies in an airport. That's pretty good. Second half is like big mutant monster dude in a big facility. And yeah, it's all right. Leon's hair is so silky. It's unbelievable. It just looks so. I just think they've got an animation team dedicated
Is it
only
the
to
Final
his hair.
Fantasy Spirits Within level hair, or nothing at that level?
Yes. No, I think it might be.
Just give me the DVD for that. I'm going to watch it soon, I think.
Yeah.
It's better than it got credit for, but it is.
I liked
wild.
it. Yeah.
I remember liking it too. Yeah. So I'm going to watch the next two. I think the next one is called Damnation. And there's one called Vendetta as well. And I remember having fun with both of them to a degree.
I've seen it's been a long time. I've seen Degeneration, but through circumstances of where I was, I saw it in Spanish without subtitles, so a little harder to follow.
Yeah.
Because my Spanish is not good enough to follow an entire movie without subtitles.
I suppose, I suppose you would need them a bit, but it's the standard stuff. Yeah,
I think there's zombies, but I don't know.
I can't quite tell.
I don't know what their deal is. Is he suggesting that they shoot them? Is he trying to reason with them? I can't follow this at all.
Shoot him in the head. Yeah, that's it. But you, Luke, have you seen anything this week?
I watched a whole lot. I've been, I watched a documentary on Netflix called My Octopus Teacher. Have you heard about that one? I saw some people talking about it. I just felt in the mood for watching a nice, uplifting documentary. And it was exactly that. It's about a guy who lives in South Africa somewhere, and he goes swimming in the kelp forests, which I never knew about before, but they're amazing. They're like underwater forests, like these kelp trees are like the size of like an oak tree or something. And he's sort of swimming down into these kelp forests. And it's like he's swimming through. It's like he's flying through a forest. He's sort of swimming through. Then he finds a little octopus, and he kind of becomes friends with it. And it's just his sort of bond with this octopus over a year or so. I think that's like its lifespan. But it's really good, really amazing, like really lovely. And there's like some genuine tense moments. There's like sharks that come to the picture. There's chase sequences. The special effect. Thanos is in there.
I've made a note of this to watch it. It sounds great.
It is good. It's good. I'm afraid Thanos is not in it. You are?
This octopus. How do you know it's the same one every time? Is it because
there's only one about. I mean, you do raise a good point, but I'm pretty sure it's the same one because like
have you got a secret handshake?
Yeah, I mean,
the octopus knows him. It addresses him by name.
It waves.
Just
Yeah.
acknowledges him when he goes, "Look." Yeah,
How many
he's there.
episodes are we talking, Luke? This always is a deal
So
breaker.
it's a film. It's like 1.5 hour film
Is
of
it?
90 minutes. Yeah.
One
There we
A
go.
episode.
nice way to spend
Sold.
an evening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get in on that. How is your post-apocalypse binge going, Luke? Are you almost at the end of the apocalypse?
No, I've got loads left to do. After doing the trilogy of Apes movies last week, I haven't actually got around to. Oh, I've been playing Days Gone a bit more, and that's kind of more of my post-apocalyptic stuff. But my fiance got me Little Nightmares 2, so
Oh,
I've kind of
yeah.
been playing that. It's great. It's if you played and like the first one, it's more of that. In fact, there's one sequence I was just doing in a hospital that's one of the scariest moments in a game I've played in ages. It's really spooky, really nice little set pieces, and the visual design, the aesthetic, is really unique and quite amazing.
I'm gonna have to give it a go.
It's like
I've
they
started the first
started
one.
off with Tim Burton, but then they went, let's make this really horrifying, full of gore and stuff.
I'm gonna get to it eventually. I started the first one a little while back.
Mhm.
I don't think I'm too. I'm not sure how long of a game it is. I don't think I'm too far into it.
I think the first was like 2 hours long. It's not very long.
Oh, in that case, maybe I'm almost done. I've just gone through this library with the spooky hands man, and got through that bit where the bit where
Yeah.
where he starts grabbing you.
Yeah.
So probably about an hour and a bit in.
It's the only thing is when you Inside's a similar sort of genre game, platformer, creepy atmospheric platform puzzle game. The only thing is because it's a 3D game and it's using depth as well as the
Yeah.
sort of two-dimensional. It's so easy to sort of get stuck on a wall or as you're running away from something. Like the controls are quite clunky in a way, so
Yeah.
it's quite easy to get quite frustrated. But
That's what
it's worth
I
bearing.
found that like it's not too frustrating, but there have been bits where
Well,
I
it's
felt like I did quite a nice little sequence, and I'm like, oh, I've just
Yeah.
dodged all those leeches or that man, and then I literally just eat shit by like missing a plank and falling into oblivion.
Yeah, like because there's like a rope in the middle of the thing, and you're running away from the guy. You jump, and you think you've lined it up, but like you just completely boof it
Yeah.
and go completely past it.
Just fall off, just like in real life.
Yeah, but it's really good though. It's one of the more interesting new horror game franchises, I think.
I'm up for the
Stuff.
second one. I might roll straight through once I finish the first one.
Yeah. Cool. And then that's about it, really.
All got on Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah. Which Ben, have you got some details about it?
I got some details, mate. So Jacob's Ladder is a 1990 American psychological horror film directed by Adrian Lyne, starring Tim Robbins, Elizabeth Peña, and Danny Aiello. Wait there. Mourning his dead child, a haunted Vietnam War veteran attempts to uncover his past while suffering from a severe case of dissociation. To do so, he must decipher reality and life from his own dreams, delusions, and perceptions of death. And Macaulay Culkin's in it as well.
He is, yeah. So IMDb has this at 7.5. That's the optimum IMDb score. Rotten Tomatoes, the critic score is only 73%, which is a bit lower than I thought it might be. User score is 84%. Letterboxd has it at 3.7. Some choice Letterboxd reviews. Belimov wrote, heavy. Reconsider if you have back problems. 5 stars. So he's put like a trigger warning in there
5
for
stars.
people with achy backs.
Yeah.
Ank said, Tim Robbins has no chops. This movie is loud, boring, confusing, and sad. 1 star. Slime the garbage main says, geez, remind me to never go down that ladder. 5 stars. Jeez Louise.
5 stars.
Yeah.
I bet that's what they were hoping. The director was hoping when I'm going to make this film, I'm going to get people to go, "Jeez, Louise."
A lot of people are kind of sound a bit indifferent, and then they give it 5 stars.
Yeah. Vicky put Jacob's Ladder more like Jacob's rather do anything than sit through this snooze fest. 1 star.
She's the
Jacob's
Congo
Ladder.
of the situation.
I mean,
At
you
least
have
put
to
a nice
really
bit of effort into a review.
Jacob's Ladder more like Jacob's rather. Well, we just should still not obviously not practice the name game skills that much.
I'd give it that. That's a powerful enough use.
Yeah, if you're from the Bronx, maybe Radder.
Yeah.
That would kind of work, wouldn't it?
Radder. Yeah, possibly,
Radder.
maybe, to some degree. Have you guys seen this before?
Yeah. Yeah.
What did you say, Andy?
Never, ever. There's a new one on me.
This is a weird one. This is one where I kind of feel like I have, but then when I watched it again this time, I was like, maybe I haven't. So maybe it's just it feels familiar, doesn't it? So looking at the legacy section on Wikipedia, it's saying it greatly inspired the horror franchise Silent Hill. Greatly inspired things like The Evil Within. Apparently, there's a X-Files episode with music from Jacob's Ladder or something.
The head spin.
That head stuff is that's very recognizable from a lot of stuff, isn't it?
I think this might be where it originates, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Potentially.
So obviously, we saw it quite a lot in things like House on Haunted Hill.
As I said, that's what it always brings up for me. House on Haunted Hill.
Yeah.
Those people give you a bit of a judder in.
Judder face.
Itself.
Yeah, but there were some genuinely like scary bits, and
yeah. It's a weird film. The tone of it seems to be like, let's take normal day stuff, normal occurrences, and try and work out how to make them creepy, or by lingering on like a wheel for too long or something. It just gets more and more disturbing. It's a weird film.
Yeah, like go to a house party. Sounds nice. But imagine this happens. Oh no, that's horrible. Don't want that.
Off the train on the way home. Everyone likes home time. This is the worst home time ever.
Worst home time ever. One of your fellow passengers will be really unhelpful. Yeah. And then you'll be locked in the station.
Fucking answer me.
Yeah.
So obviously it's got like layers to it. It's got like a few timelines.
Ruined. Sorry,
bath time ruined forever. How much ice did they go through as well? Wow.
Yeah, I feel like Jacob, Ben, is the perfect candidate for your real life horror section of the show, because he's got no end of them.
If we had Jacob on the show, he'd be like, "Oh, where do I start? I've had 12 today." Oh,
I've been to a house party last weekend. You haven't been to a house party where the devil turns up and then you fall over
on the sticky floor.
The devil turns up. Does he just turn up? The devil turns up.
Not only that, we'll get to it.
Well, we'll get to it. Don't spoil. Well, yeah, obviously we will be spoiling the 1990 movie Jacob's Ladder, where
1990. That's crazy.
Yeah,
it seems a bit more. It felt more mid-90s to me than 1990.
So Macaulay Culkin. Obviously, this is all pre Home Alone, pre My Girl, pre.
That's
what
else? I
else?
was thinking it had to have been Home Alone. I'm not sure he would have been a viable choice for what is a very seriously toned movie as the most recognizable child actor in the world at the time.
Yeah, that's Home Alone in the cinema.
Well, that was the full thing. Like, genuinely, this film obviously has a lot more of a serious tone, and it tackles serious themes. So it wasn't one that I was laughing through. But I felt bad. I was watching it with my wife, and like she was taking it seriously, and I was smirking away because that bit when he gets the photos. So your wife was going to throw these photos away, so he's looking through them, and then he's he looks at one, he's a baby, and then he looks at one, and it just he doesn't introduce who it is, so it just looks like he's found a picture of Macaulay Culkin.
Macaulay Culkin, I've cut out a paper. So apparently he's uncredited in the movie, Macaulay Culkin, but also his name's Gabe. And it just reminded me of Pet Sematary. The little kid's called Gabe in that, who also gets mown down horribly. Don't be Don't be a little
Interesting, yeah.
don't be a little kid called Gabe in a movie
that era of
because you're getting
cinema.
Blonde
you're getting
hair.
flat with blonde hair. You're getting
Yeah.
flattened. You're getting flattened.
And your dad will never quite get over it.
No,
Kind
bless
of
him.
feels a bit Stephen King in a way. This film. I'm trying to, the tone of it is. I don't know. It's a curious one. I can't think of any film that quite captures this similar kind of style. It's a unique one.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
we come to this weird narrative mix of like almost non-linear stuff at times as well. This is a
Yeah.
proper this is a proper like Inception job over here with things changing and the layers within layers. And having not seen this, and I had a vague awareness of what the movie was about, but I made a point of not refreshing myself as to what it was, so not having explicitly what the ending was. So as you go through, you think, okay, what is this? Is there like a spiritual element to it? Has he become a Dr. Manhattan and he's experiencing his history all at once? Who knows? But yeah, it
There's a lot.
It was interesting. There's a lot to unpack.
There's a lot of like biblical stuff as well, isn't there? So I think there's
Yeah.
obviously times when he's looking at a book and some images, but also from reading up on it, there's an alternative title of Dante's Inferno as well.
Yeah, okay.
So obviously the dream, the place between heaven and hell. So quite a lot of biblical themes and stuff like that.
He has a little read of those books as well, doesn't he? He's got an illustrated version. That he's looking through it. He's looking through it a bit of the movie. And fair play to him. I have tried to read Dante's Inferno, and it's been translated from like an ancient Italian poem. Even obviously, I don't read Italian, so it has been translated into English. Not that much easier, if I'm honest.
Don't read Spanish. What do you do?
Yeah, what dude?
I know my grasp of the romantic languages is sketchy at best.
If you wanna experience the story of Dante's Inferno, just play the PS3 game Dante's Inferno, which is basically a God of War ripoff. Is it blasphemy? Possibly, but yeah.
It does have the voice acting of Mark Hamill, so there's that.
Does
and
it?
You can do
Does it?
You can do the you've got blasphemy, but you've got a little bit of Mark Hamill voice acting, and he's got like a special cross. And if you hold down circle, you do like a kamehameha to like do a big
Bless
cross.
you.
And
I remember it. It was all right, wasn't it? I remember it being all right.
When you QTE finish the baddies off, you can either punish them or you can forgive the shit out of them. And they're like,
I'm gonna forgive you.
And you forgive them and send them off to heaven. And they're like, oh, they're really annoyed about it, but they'll thank you when it's all over.
Whoa! Forgiven! See you later.
Feel like a Knights Templar or something.
Yeah. In this one, Dante is not he's not a poet. He is a fighty knight, and you begin in the tutorial by beating up death.
Oh.
It sounds a bit like God of War, but yeah, that's cool.
It's very God of War, isn't it? I remember it. I think I played it around about the same time I was playing God of War 1 and 2.
So pause.
Hack and slash.
So pause the podcast here, and if you really want full context of the deep philosophical things we're going to be going into, play 2008's Dante's Inferno on PS3 and Xbox 360, and then come back and join us.
Come back and enjoy.
I haven't, so I won't know what you guys are talking about.
You have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
There we go. So yeah, cast wise, we got Tim Robbins as Jacob Slatter. Jacob Singer.
If his name is Slatter.
Jacob Slatter. He's like a Vietnam War veteran dude. Elizabeth Peña is Jezebel. See, is Jezebel like a biblical?
Yeah, he says that as well, and his kids have got Bible names too.
Yeah.
His wife's called Sarah, so that's all right.
Danny Aiello is Louis, who's like his chiropractor / dad. I was confused about their relationship.
Like an angel as well, isn't he, or something? Yeah.
His dad chiropractor.
he says at some point, Dandra Brecht, he says at some point, you look like an angel. I thought they could have at least framed it better. The light was right over his head or something. I mean, bit on the nose, but I'd have liked that.
Yeah.
And who else? There's there's the other war veterans as well, like his mates. Ving Rhames is one of them. Who else? I recognise one of the guys as well.
There's the guy who can't. He has a condition where he can't look. His like eyes are constantly moving. I can't remember his name, but I've seen him in a few things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the guy from Seinfeld is in it as well.
Yeah, George.
Oh yeah,
Costanza.
George Costanza. Yeah.
Which is interesting. Yeah, I don't think I've missed anyone out. Have I? Obviously, Tim Robbins, his family, got like 2 young kids. They're only in like one scene. His kids, aren't they? And his wife / ex-wife.
Yeah.
Is.
Oh, what those other kids got to do? They're playing against Macaulay Culkin. Come on, what do you want from them?
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I've got to say, I think Tim Robbins is kind of great. There's one of the Letterboxd reviews saying that he was boring or whatever, but he was spot on. I feel like he's a really likable guy. I also got a feeling that he's probably quite tall. I don't know if you noticed the same thing. I thought that guy's a tall.
I feel like Tim Robbins
dude.
is tall.
He's too easy going to be short.
A real lanky guy. In Wikipedia here it says Kyle Gass is in it, like the guy from Tenacious D, as a character called Tony.
Really?
Which is kind of nuts, because that Pruitt Taylor Vince, the guy who can't like focus on stuff, he kind of looks like him, and I was a bit like, he looks like Kyle Gass. Do you reckon? What's going on?
What's happening?
Yeah, what is happening?
When I search Kyle Gass, that's the guy that comes up.
Yeah, the other guy that comes up.
Kyle Gass.
Do you reckon someone on Wikipedia's got like drastically confused?
I think so.
That's kind of crazy, isn't it?
The
you
picture
fell
that
down
comes
that
up
hole.
is of that guy with the eye condition.
Well,
but when he's bald and looks like Kyle Gass,
well,
someone's got confused.
Kyle Gass on his IMDb is Jacob's Ladder's on there.
Yeah, but anyone could do that. Anyone could fiddle with IMDb, can't
Anyone can fiddle. Yeah.
While you guys fell down that hole, I looked up Tim Robbins' height. He is 1.96 meters tall. For context, that makes him
as big as Chewbacca. Chewbacca.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Chewbacca.
That makes him taller than Mark Ruffalo, Clancy Brown, his ex-wife Susan Sarandon. He's taller than Sean Penn.
Almost 6'5". I knew it. I could tell he was really tall.
He's almost 20 centimeters taller than Sean Penn. Towers over.
Did you say he's 6'5"?
Yeah, 6'5".
That's insane. Yeah. That's like a basketball player.
Yeah. I could tell there's something about the way he carries himself. No one, because tall people are always weirdly confident. It's like they've not got a care in the world.
It's like they're bigger than other people.
Yeah.
Well, say got a problem with me out. See you later. I'll just boot you.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Tim Robbins, big old boy.
So yeah, obviously it starts in Vietnam. Jacob Slatter is in Vietnam having a shit. He's having a shit somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
He's constantly laughing. 3 different characters.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's got a tall guy thing.
Yeah.
Constantly just laughing. People are making fun of you, mate. What are you doing laughing?
3 different
things. He's got lots to be laughing about and being happy though, because his army nickname is Professor. We do learn out later that he is very clever, but it could be that he wears glasses. And so not only are you a professor because you've got glasses, but you're always pooing all the time. Why don't you just leave your trousers down? And then Ving Rhames says, like, why don't you come
and masturbate me?
Give us a little wank. And he goes, ain't got no tweezers, mate. And he's got it.
He's just regular. If anything, he's in a foreign country. He's going to be more regular, I expect. His things are going to be going straight through him like a bullet, like a bullet from a gun, coming straight out of him, shitting through an eye of a needle, like a knife through butter. That's a much better one.
I like the bullet through butter.
It's a tropical climate as well, so it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough on the old digestion, but
it's not even going to touch the sides.
He's not letting it get him down. He's He's implying that Ving Rhames has got a small dick. He's having a good old laugh about how much pooing he does. They're having a jolly good time. But that levity is all cut short when someone points out that there's some enemies that they've spotted coming along the tree line, and then things from there go very rapidly to shit. Not only is there, a frantic firefight going on, but half of the squad or platoon or whatever it is all start having terrible seizures or panic attacks, and it's quite a harrowing scene, right? There are people with legs hanging off and
camera tilt so they can't see what's going on. Yeah,
it's a very
angles.
It's the first of a few examples of this where this film becomes, and we'll harken back to that review. It's not in a bad way necessarily. It's very effective, but it becomes very loud, very disorienting, quite a frantic thing with so many things going on, super fast cuts, sort of horrific imagery, and
guys' legs like hanging off, been blown off.
Yeah, it's awful. Yeah, it's and then I can imagine, like, I was watching this on a TV of a Sunday evening on a moderate volume. I imagine this in a cinema was brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty intense.
Yeah.
Then Jacob runs around, and then he runs into the jungle, and he gets a bayonet stabbing right in the abdomen.
And the old killer.
And we don't see who it is stabbing him, but he kind of does. His eyes are super wide when he's looking at them, as if to say, "What the fuck,
dude? Yeah,
dude, what are you doing? Sticking a bayonet in me? Out of order! Ow!"
Yeah, and then it cuts to him waking up on a subway train in New York City, and he's overslept. Which is kind of the Clive Barker thing, isn't it? Midnight Meat Train, where you sleep past your stop and you don't know where you are. Go on.
Luckily, he didn't sleep past his stop, which was nice. But he does ask a woman, an older woman, if they've gone past his stop. And I mean, he commits to this. I feel like if I would ask her once, if she didn't respond, I'd be like, "Oh, screw you then." But he commits to it and asks her more than once, and then he's sort of unsure whether he should leave. But then she just looks at him with this cold, dead eyes, which isn't nice, is it?
And then he gets off the train anyway, and it is his stop. But I understand.
Well, as he's getting off the train, he sees a homeless guy sleeping under these covers, and they've got a tail flapping about under the.
What he had a tail? I
don't know what it was.
Was it going to be one of his? I thought, was it going to be one of his army friends? I didn't notice.
Put it away, mate.
It was a half-eaten pepperami, and he was like, "Oh yeah, nice and spicy one. I'll have a bit of that." Oh, the door's shut before I can grab it.
This must stop now.
Yeah.
Alex.
So I was watching it with Kat, and as he gets off the station, he gets on the station, he realizes it's all locked. I would just wait. Within seconds, he's down on the tracks, like walking to the next stop. What are you doing?
Well, you pick up one of those little phones.
You
pick up one of those little phones that says, "Oh, help."
Yeah. The last thing you do is just jump down onto the tracks and start. And he falls into the water. There's loads of rats down there.
He's having an awful time, and this is why I make sure I never fall asleep on a train. I used to do this. That we ride in the train places. I wouldn't have ended up on the Midnight Meat Train or in. In an analog for hell. If I'd have fallen asleep, if I'd have fallen asleep on the way back from a trip from uni and missed Tamworth, I'd have ended up in Nottingham, I guess, which isn't that far away, but inconvenient.
What about those people who could fall asleep on a train or on the tube and seem to they look fast asleep?
I do it.
But then they seem to get up just as their stop arrives. Like they're tuned in to hearing what stop it is.
I've only ever missed. I fall asleep all the time on trains and stuff. I've only ever missed. I got quite drunk in the daytime, fell asleep on the bus, and ended up the next 3 or 4 towns over. Had to come back. It was right a pain in the ass. But I don't know. You just because you're never fully asleep. Like you kind of on edge asleep.
Yeah,
in a
you're
way.
tuned in. I guess is it like if you fall asleep and you know that you've got to wake up early, and then
It's the
you never
same
truly
thing,
need
yeah.
the alarm, right? Like if you know
Yeah.
you've got to, like you go on holiday or something, you've got like a flight at 4 a.m,
Yeah.
you will wake up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the same thing. So he's on the tracks. His shoes are all soppy and wet. There's rats around, and then he's like a train coming at him.
Yeah, he steps in a puddle, doesn't he? And then
he forgets that to move out the way. Like he can't commit to go one way or the other.
Couldn't understand if the train was changing tracks. It seemed to be like he was just moving around, and the train was like, "But I'm over here now." Just jumping around.
He does that a few times. I mean, a couple of times. I don't think he had any other choice. But his default thing to do when something's coming at him is to run away from it, like Charlie's Theron and Prometheus. Just run in a straight, in a straight line.
A little bit. He's already put himself in a lot of danger because he does check that the rails aren't electrocuted by just touching them quickly. Let's say, Jacob, electricity is dead fast. Like it won't it's not like bacteria getting on food. You haven't got a couple of seconds to get off.
Yeah.
He thinks he's faster than it. He's like, I'm much faster. You see me run 100 meters. I'm flat out.
He's
mate.
like 6'5". He's pretty got a long stride.
Yeah, it take the electricity a little bit of time to get up his leg to hurt him in his heart, so he can just take his leg off quick.
As it's coming up. Old Jacob Slatter.
But he you're right, he almost gets done by the train. Bit of indecision there, and then there are a load of old ghouly faces on the train gurning at him as it goes past.
Yeah.
There's always like bozos on the train, don't there? But like, there's even like one at the end who's looking out the back. He does like a little wave at him or something.
He's got like a carrier bag on his head or something.
Yeah. They look like mannequins or something. There's something not quite normal about him anyway.
Proto Slenderman, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And he manages to get out and go home, doesn't he? Like, what time of day is it? Because it's like super early morning, right?
Yeah. He gets in and just gets, I'm going to have a shower. And Jezzy, his missus, who he lives with in this little apartment, says, how's work? And he's like, don't ask. It's like, it's just a bad day at work.
Don't you bloody ask. So he's like a postal clerk dude, isn't he?
Yeah.
He works for the post office. He's pulled some overtime because someone hasn't come in, so he's finished super late. And obviously, maybe courtship has changed since the 90s, but Jezzy starts with look like absolute shit. Jacob, absolute probably worst I've ever seen you, and then strips off and hops in the shower to have some post-work sex. Look at her negging. Well, maybe things haven't changed.
Negging.
Yeah. Oh, like absolute trash.
You look like rubbish. I've been working all night.
Oh, you're
6'4", 6'5". There's a lot.
Takes a lot of energy just to stay alive when you're this
big. There's a lot of me to just brushing my hair after times. Just a lot of effort.
Those big arm swings just to brush your hair. You've covered kilometers in strides.
How's he fit in that shower as well?
Yeah.
If you got in that shower, you'd be like a tiny little man in a massive giant shower. He gets in, it just looks normal. A borrower. Yeah.
So she gets in and follows up her negging with some shower sex.
Sexy time.
She's made an assumption that he's in the mood for it after a long night shift and almost being hit by a train. A cup of tea might be as nice.
Yeah, I've seen some demons. But he gets on the bed afterwards, and that's when I think Jezza gives him some photos that
that's
that one of the sons has dropped off.
The next morning, one of the sons has dropped them off. Eli has dropped them off.
Yeah.
From the photo book of Eli. He has dropped those. It didn't bother. Like, if your son had come round, Ben, you have a daughter. If she came round to drop off some photos, you'd probably like to be woken up to say hello to her, right?
I guess so. Yeah, it depends. Just a flyby. Like, here's some photos. Have them. See you later.
If you've been up a night shift, maybe you couldn't be asked. I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
But he has a look at them. There's one of a baby. There's a couple of him and his wife that Jezzy doesn't really doesn't really appreciate seeing. And then he gets a bit upset because he sees a photo of famous actor Macaulay Culkin.
To be
And he
fair,
goes,
though, the way
she got traumatized by those burglars.
the way she reacts is a bit annoying because she's acting like, oh, his whole family, oh, get over it, that sort of attitude. And then when she sees a picture of Gabe, she's like, oh, is that the one who died? Like, that's quite a big life
She also
experience to go through.
refuses to remember the names of the other children. I think the thing is, like, right away we kind of know we're in metaphor land and not in like the real world. One of the things I quite like about this film, I hate some of the films that do this and then they go, "Oh, it's all a big reveal. I bet you didn't know that he was actually dead the whole time." But this film is like constantly laying on thick, even like halfway through, even saying, "You're dead, Jacob," just in case you didn't realize you're dead. And I think because it's upfront about it, I think it kind of works. Like Jezebel is a kind of evil demon, kind of personified woman, right? She's kind of trying to pull him away from his original, his living family life or whatever he had.
So bloody metaphors. I mean, as far as we know, she's just a lady that he met at the post office once.
Yeah,
Colouring her in a very bad light. She might be perfectly nice, and she is nice sometimes. But in this occasion, she sees that he's upset having seen a photo of Macaulay Culkin and goes, "Well, I hate stuff that makes you cry, so."
Get over it.
I'm going to waz these in the furnace. You'd say, chuck yourself in the furnace, mate. It was you asking if he was the one that was dead.
Chuck yourself in the furnace. What do you chuck yourself in the furnace? Oh, I will. I bloody will. Yeah.
She does it, but he keeps the photo of Gabe in his wallet there.
As it's his only photo he's got of him. I mean, it must have been weird, all those years ago, only having like one photo of someone. If you lost it, that was it. No way of getting it back. Especially if someone had died, you'd be like, oh, God, I've lost that photo. I'm never going to be able to see a picture of them ever again. Oh, my God.
And then you're kind of worried, like, if the face you remember is actually the face or if it's changed over time or something.
I'm not remembering Macaulay Culkin anymore. I'm just remembering
the memory of him.
The memory of Macaulay. I can't just think of Joe Pesci. All I can think about, I try and think of him, I think of Joe Pesci. And I'm like, oh, little Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
And eventually you're not remembering him, you're remembering the character of Richie Rich.
Richie Rich. Who is, oh, God.
Who is Gabe anymore? But, debates on the properties of memory aside, he's all right. He's taken the memory. There's a nice little thing here where he calls. There's some harsh language here. Trigger warning, guys. He does describe Jezzy as a fucking ninny.
Does he?
Yeah, I don't remember.
I didn't realise I was with such a fucking ninny. So she burns up some photos, including one of Macaulay and a couple of the others. They get burned up in the furnace. Jacob.
Is that what he said in the quote later on? The demons like they burn the memories away.
They burn the memories away. Yeah, they strip your life away like piece by piece and fuck it up.
They're like everything, like your memories, your attachments. They'll like burn them away. All the things that make you feel human, until you're just an empty shell of a 6'9", 6'5" man.
Then demons will waz them in the furnace like they're just dry old photographs. But it's okay. Having had that little bit of upset, Tim Robbins turns up at the office for sort of an afternoon shift, even though he's not going in. He brings Jezzy some fries.
Yeah.
They work together as well. Oh, Jesus, I see you all day, and then I gotta come see you at night as well. I'm sick of you, sick of the sight of you. Nah, they've got a nice relationship.
He comes and gives us some chips, and then goes, I'm not here to work though because my back is killing me, so I'm off to see my chiropractor / dad.
Dad, what did you say?
My dad repractor.
Yeah.
And
when he's on, is it when he's on his way to see them, he gets kind of like heckled by some people who see him as a postman?
They start singing the postman song.
That might be a little bit
get
later.
Heckled?
All the time.
It's nice
dogs,
heckling.
mainly.
It is nice.
It
heckling,
is a nice
yeah.
heckling.
They sing him a song about "Wait a minute, Mr. Postman," and Yeah.
Postman Pat.
Is that an American thing? The thing that do we get of an era in the UK where people singing Postman Pat to
yeah.
to
And then he's like starts walking off, and they're like, "Where are you going?" He's like, "Well, fucking getting on with my life here. I'm not going to stop and hang out with you guys. Sorry."
You gonna deliver some post? No.
Yeah.
This reminds me. It's not my story,
My
but
back.
singing songs to people when they have jobs. One of my friends, Greg, he shared a story that embarrassed him as an adult, but he definitely remembered as a cheeky young child seeing a police car with some local policemen in it and going up to them and like going up to the window of the car and going singing the theme tune to the bill.
And then he filmed their legs as they walked away.
Yeah, maybe still in prison to this day.
Yeah, maybe he was just giving a take on, maybe as a child he'd watched Jacob's Ladder and he assumed that's what you do. If you see someone that has a uniformed profession, you sing the tune to him. And to be fair, he was a Vietnam veteran as well, so if he'd wearing his army uniform, people would be singing the theme at MASH at him.
Yeah. Are we supposed to assume that he's got a bad back because of bending down and posting letters?
Or because he sings for 5 and he's
being really tall, having to slouch down to
little hobbit houses.
Yeah, to associate with short people, it's going to do you back.
Yeah.
His back's absolutely fudged. And as me and Luke were discussing before, we both enjoy watching chiropractor YouTube videos of like the loudest crack of backs you'll ever hear, compilation number 6.
Yeah.
The back cracks in this.
They're not actually that satisfying, are they?
They're not satisfying at all. They're wet. They're like. That's the noise it makes. There's no
maybe your back is literally fudged, mate.
Yeah, maybe because you did get a bad back on holiday in Vietnam, in the war in Vietnam.
You know what's
got a bad back there because it's tropical.
Too much, mate.
Yeah, he got too much shit, and he got a wet back from laying down in the steamy tropics. You've got yourself a wet spine.
On holiday, like a mix up of holiday. Where were you? I was in Vietnam. Oh, on holiday? No, the war.
Well, inclusive.
It's because it's.
I like the chiropractic videos where they put like a thing under your neck, like a fabric thing, and they do you know what I mean? And they kind of do that, and then they suddenly yank it up. And your head kind of pops off your neck for a second.
With stuff like that, I feel like it's a near-death experience. I feel like if it could go drastically wrong, and your neck can be
really wrong. Oh fuck!
In the last twist of his neck that he gives him at the chiropractor's, doesn't it like give him a memory or something like that? It gives him a memory of his mates in Vietnam.
He goes back to Vietnam, yeah. And it's like guts are hanging out. Apparently, I can't remember. I mean, I'm having flashbacks right now about that scene in the film.
About Jacob's Ladder.
It's like his guts. Someone saying his guts hanging out. He's crawling. He's dying. He's trying to say help me, and someone's looking for him. Some Vietnam soldiers looking for him. But then he comes back to this chiropractor, and the chiropractor's like, "You're a good lad, Jakey," and he's like tapping his boobs.
You're a good lad, and I'm your dad.
Okay, I think here Jacob says, "You're an angel or something of an angel." He's got like a light above his head.
He's got a ring light over him, and he goes,
says, "You know the last person who said that to me," and he says, "No." Because you, every time you come here, it's like, all right. He's laying it on thick every time he goes to the chiropractor. You're a bloody
he's chatted about his ex-wife as well. He's been like, oh, you should, she still goes on about you. Yeah. She still loves you. You guys should get back together. And he goes, oh.
Does she use him as a chiropractor as well?
Fingers pops.
She's got a bad knee. Says, oh, I was a knee given a jip. And he was like, yeah, I suppose I could just break patient doctor privilege. So yeah, her
knee is absolutely fucked. Let's be
backwards. Honest. Yeah, the kneecap's popped up.
It's backwards. If I was any good at my job, she wouldn't need to come see me all the time, but she does. So
it's been Michael Clarke Duncan in Daredevil. Who's been sent the knees the wrong way, so she's got to come in and get fixed up.
Nasty.
And then on the way back from his, it's almost a bit of a waste. This is like. just after you get some nice clothes out the wash and then you spill something on the top you put on immediately. He's just got his back all fixed and he's walking down.
on air. He's walking on air. He's like,
yeah, he's having the greatest day of life. Like Mr. Blue Sky is playing, and then he's walking down the aqueduct from Terminator 2, and then a random person pops around the corner and goes, "Bloody hell, look out!" And then what should come down the road but a manic car swerving and chopping about all over the place. And
it's just annoying.
he's going from the left side to the right side, and it always seems to be coming towards him, like pinging off the walls. And then he manages to jump through some pallets into a little side thing, and it goes past. And a bit like the train, there's some horrible ghoulies in there that are glaring at him as they go past.
Yeah, another guy with an Audi carrier bag on his head.
Oh, and their heads are shaking. They've got the judders, I think.
Those juddermen.
Eating something too sweet. Did you ever get that? A bit too sweet. Oh, it hurts your jaw. Like your jaw muscles ache.
Oh, that's it. They're playing that classic, before memes were a thing, or those like TikTok challenges. In the year of the 90s, you'd just do them and you'd hope passers-by would see them. It's the 90s challenge of put an Aldi bag on your head and whack a ton of sours in your gob.
It's dangerous. We must say, disclaimer, don't do that at home because it's dangerous. Don't put a carrier bag on your head because,
or have too many sours because both of those things are bad for you.
Yeah.
If you
Definitely
do them
do that
together,
at the same time.
only the toughest hombres could pull those off. So unless you are the toughest, don't try this at home.
Can you do the shaky head thing without special effects? That's good.
No, not the shaking head.
That's good. That's good.
I'm a neck.
I'm a neck. Oh, where's the chiropractor? Where's my dad repractor when I need him?
I remember once Kat said she woke up with a bad back, and he said, "Did I sleep funny?" And I, as a joke, as a lark, said, "Yeah, you slept like this." And I did like a headstand without the hands on the bed, and my neck popped. And I had like the worst back. Maybe that's why I've still got a bad back today. For a lark.
You've got to go to your dad and practice to get it fixed.
About the way she slept and killed my back, yeah.
Yeah, you slept on this, and then you actually ruined your life. All for a joke. Are you proud of yourself?
For anyone that's listening in there, if you're not wearing expensive headphones, just try it yourself. Give your head a little shake around and see if you can recreate.
I think when I was reading, I think it's like obvious how they did it. I think it's like shot at a really low frame rate, and obviously someone's going mad with their head, and then sped up to a ridiculous degree. Yeah, pretty terrifying. It is effective as well.
Yeah, it's really spooky when you see that. Jeepers creepers, jeez Louise is what you'd say if you saw that.
Yeah,
jeez Louise.
Right.
Yeah.
But having
Jesus.
had a jump on the floor, he thinks, right, I better go and see the other type of doctor. I'm going off to the hospital to see Dr. Carlson. He'll know what to do. And so he
like a veteran. Is it like a veterans hospital? It is, isn't it? Or like
they have a special veterans section or whatever. He goes along to the hospital and he has a chat with an unhelpful nurse who goes, I ain't got no Dr. Carlson here, is he new? And he goes, nah, he's been here ages. He goes, oh, don't know what you're talking about. What's your name? It's Jacob Slatter. And he goes, no Slatters on the record. Don't know what to tell you, mate. And he goes, oh, look,
this whole time as well, he's bent right down, looking into a little office, like.
I wonder he's got a bad back.
BFG. Hello. What are you in there?
He's having to lean in there to get the information. She's not very helpful. And then her hatful. He's going, oh, I know where his room is. If you can give me a pass to go into the hospital, then get a hall pass so the hall monitor doesn't stop me. I can just go along and go and see Dr. Carlson. And she's not being very helpful. And then her hat falls off and there's a horrible bone in her head.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What's all that about? What was it? Was
it
like a horn?
Is it a horn? Biggest little horn.
A little horny.
Yeah.
She's very unhelpful.
So he's unicorn, I guess.
But she's not even had lunch yet. Remember, she
Oh
says.
yeah, she does say that. No, that's not. I hate when people say that because I go, "Well, ain't my problem, mate. Nothing to do with me. I'm here to be helped by you. So you haven't had your lunch yet? Well, you bring you a cream cracker.
Pepperami.
Grow up. Pepperami. Do you want
Just
me
a
to
cream
have
cracker,
half
no
of the...
water, no drink. Eat that.
Eat that. Go on,
Eat
you
6
old...
of these if you can.
Don't get a big old bone in your head about it, but she does. And as soon as he sees that, he's like, "Right, I am off." But it's not just a hospital, so he bolts into the hospital, but it appears to be not just a regular hospital, but behind that single set of double doors, it's a full-on lunatic asylum, and there's just people milling
same
about
hospital
in
he
the
goes to later on?
corridors. I
When
guess so.
Oh,
possibly.
He
weird.
goes to the
Yeah.
Silent Hill version later, I guess.
Yeah.
Because there is like nice and then horrid versions of everything. So he's at the normal bit of the hospital where there are just a regular amount of patients there. But there are some people who are clearly like in straitjackets or having like being restrained by people in the corridors, and he goes tearing down with the lady shouting after him, and he
Gets
bursts
a
into the
security
room.
guard dude chases him as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, he gets
And the
caught up on
The
a couple
security
of
guard gets
patients.
caught up with all the patients that grab
A
onto
couple
him.
of the people grab onto him. Yeah, they chase him about as effectively as those airport security guards chased Featherboy at the end of Love Actually. That little boy would have been tackled to the floor instantly by those armed guards.
Was it pre 9/11 or post 9/11?
Post, because they referenced 9/11 at the start.
There we go. He would have been down. Completely unbelievable.
Yeah, they'd have turned the dogs loose. Dogs with tasers in their mouths. But no.
Let the bear out. All right.
The airport bear.
The airport bear. Just swipe him once. Done.
But that doesn't exist in the pre 9/11 world of Jacob's Ladder, and Jacob is able to get in to Dr. Carlson's office, but there's a group session going on in there, and a completely different doctor or allied medical professional comes out and says, "Dr. Carlson, yeah." I mean, it doesn't explain the nurse's uselessness on reception, but he does say, "Oh yeah, Dr. Carlson, like exploded like about a month ago."
Oh, okay. Explain.
Yeah, that is what he says. He goes, "Oh, he died. He died in a car accident." Oh, a car accident? How?
Well,
Exploded?
when I say car accident, his car exploded with him inside from a parked up position.
Accidentally.
Yeah, would you say it was a car accident?
It wasn't
Someone's
accident.
exploded in their car.
No, meant for it to happen.
I'd say
He exploded
explosion.
or the car exploded. Yeah, he spontaneously combusted. So then he has a party. I think he just cuts to party time.
Yeah. They have some chat in the bedroom, and then there is a party where there is a sheep's head. At first, that's the only thing that seems awry. He seems to be at a he seems to be having a party, and it's okay. And then there's a sheep in the fridge, and then
There's a palm reader on the stairs.
Palm reader on the
What party
stairs.
is this? Yeah.
Actually, you just wanted to go to the toilet, and you're like, oh, for God's sake,
You
I
can't
get
get
the
a
palm
palm
reader
read.
now. All right, yeah, I've had my palm read. Yeah.
We've
We've done this.
have a look at my hand here. What does my desperate for a piss line look like?
And also, after you've had a piss, come down, don't wash your hands, get your palm read again, and then halfway through just go, I didn't wash my hands. So, whee, joke's on you.
Or
Unlucky.
wash your hands but leave them wet. Just confuse them.
Leave them wet. Yeah.
Leave them wet. Your hands are wet, and I'll go piss. They're covered in piss.
Because you'll have washed them with warm water. So that'll be a warm.
And they'll go,
the balls
doesn't
on the hands.
smell like. It doesn't smell like piss. I know. I'm hydrated.
Give them the old
Very
wet hand
hydrated.
of Saruman as you go down the stairs. Just wipe it.
Oh, that's horrible. That is horrible.
Little wet willy.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully,
read this.
Hopefully, he tried it.
Freddy Krueger moment for some reason.
But unfortunately, being inconvenienced on the stairs is the least of his worries. because Jesse goes, because people are having big old dance at this house party. Maybe I'm not having the right type of house parties. I've had a few house
The
parties
song
in my years,
is
but people never danced this much.
No.
Mostly we just have a drink, a bit of chat, maybe maybe play a few games.
Game of Risk.
Yeah, this was nuts.
Yeah.
This made me tired. This was the kind of thing where I was like, "That's a workout, that is."
It's that song,
not
Moulin Rouge.
Yeah, it is Moulin Rouge. They've got Maya, they've got Pink, they've got Missy Elliott. They're all in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They're singing that, and people are having a big old dance to it in what I assume is an apartment building as well. I bet the neighbours are furious.
Neighbours
a party like
50 people
in
above.
a semi-detached house, and there are people banging on the walls, let alone floors of people. Maybe everyone from the apartment. Maybe they've done the thing where they've invited the neighbours to the party, and then they're either going to be there or you were invited, so you can't really complain.
Yeah, that's wrong, isn't it? So the palm reader does say to Jacob that he's already dead, and he's just like, yeah, all right. And then Jezebel wants to like dance with him, and he's like, I'm all danced out, I've had enough, I'm 6'5", I can't everyone around my knees is getting on my nerves, it's just annoying. And then he witnesses what we assume is just a hallucination of sorts, but it's Jezebel having a dance with initially some sort of weird creature. I thought it was like a bug thing initially, but is it supposed to be the devil?
Well, I think it's supposed to be like a devil. Bit of a grind up against it, which is very disrespectful. In the first instance, I know it's a very tightly packed party, but come on, a little bit of space, especially in this day and age. And this is one of the things as well that, like, stop fucking about, be serious. There is it gets this overwhelming feeling that we got not probably since the scene in Vietnam where the sound audibly gets louder and more distorted, and it starts to slip from the reality into becoming more horrific. And there's a great deal of tension behind it, a lot of fast cuts and people talking very fast, and then it goes from this guy her dancing with Jacob to her largely ignoring him and thrashing around increasingly sexually with this other guy, and then it becomes devilly, and there's a bit of the tail like there was on the subway, and before you know it, she's been. Is it implied that they are having sex and then she's skewered?
I don't know. It's weird.
Like it, yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's a guy at the party there.
Yeah.
There's a guy at the party as well, and they're like a weird dude. I think he sees some of the shaky head stuff as well, doesn't he?
Yeah.
That guy.
Shaky head man.
Yeah. Brain freeze. I think that's what these moments where it's like reality slipping into this sort of chaotic, surreal moments. That's what this film does spectacularly well. Like it's the best. Like later on in the hospital scene, like it starts off normal, and it very casually slips into increasingly weird sort of liminal spaces. It does it so well.
Yeah, and it does it here, and you can never, even in scenes that appear normal, you can never kind of stay relaxed about it because it will happen.
Yeah, that's part of the horror of it, I guess, is with the finding something terrifying in what seem to be quite safe spaces.
Yeah.
Like, I guess you would never think of having some sort of horrible thing happen to you when you're at a house party surrounded by people. But no, it gets him there as well.
And he collapses down onto the floor, and then he's panicking and screaming as people are all around him. And then we get maybe a sign of the other side of the relationship with Jesse. It turns very quickly from one thing to another. It begins with her being quite angry with him at their apartment, like, oh, I've never been so embarrassed of someone having a funny turn and falling over. If you're going crazy, you're doing this by yourself, because I'm not going to be around a crazy person. But then it turns out he's just got a temperature, and therefore once there's a physical explanation for this, it's a lot more. She finds it a lot more understanding. Like, oh, you've got a terrible temperature, and then they phone the doctor and they put him in a bath, and they're filling it up with ice and so on to
They're literally getting everybody in the building involved in this. Get some ice,
Oh,
everybody.
Yeah.
Jacob's
just pin him down there
absolutely
because
boiling.
I guess he's like delirious
roasting.
with fever. He's like,
If
"Oh."
someone knocked on your door and said, "Get some ice, come quickly," Jacob's absolutely roasting up. He's sweltering. He's sweating. Oh right. Oh, tell him to put his head out a window. No, we need the ice bath.
And he doesn't want to be in the ice bath because it comes sharp, wouldn't it be? Especially if you're hot.
It's the what's it called? Whiffman-Hoff method, whatever they call that.
Oh
Where
yeah,
you have
that
ice
dude.
baths and
Yeah. Stick your
breathe,
balls straight in a freezer.
dip your balls in an ice pop.
Breathe like that.
He says, Jacob says, they're burning me with ice. So even though it's supposed to look like they're trying to look after him, I kind of still feel like these are demons torturing him in some way.
Like,
he's nude as well. He's naked, and all his neighbors are
oh.
there. Imagine the embarrassment. Naked.
They're all looking
ice.
in.
ice all over your balls. You're like, ooh. Have you seen? No, I promise you, it's a grower, not a shower. And they're like, "We put some."
Eating ice lollies, looking in.
Yeah.
It is hellish.
Because of course you've had the freezer open anyway. If you've gone in the freezer to get if you've gone in the freezer to get your ice cubes out, you can have a Magnum while you're there if you got one.
Oh, yeah.
They've got their mini Magnums. They're handing them round.
Who's Bruce Solero with
Mini
that?
Magnum.
Oh, it's not a Solero.
It's a mini milk. It's a vanilla flavored mini milk.
That's a premium ice cream. That is.
Oh, mini milks are great though. They're amazing. They're so cheap, and the white one, nothing quite tastes like a nice mini milk. Ask Jacob.
He's a mini milk, all right. But yeah, he is right poorly,
Like a celebratory mini milk.
and he's too poorly. You can't have any of these ice creams. They're all having
They'll cool them down.
So while this is happening, he starts having more hallucinations, doesn't he? While he's in the ice bath.
Well, this is it. He goes back in time at this point, and this is like where I thought I wasn't sure because this is not, without the explicit nature of it being death and knowing that that was the one thing I knew about the film. There was some type of LSD and experimentation in there as well. I was like, okay, so what is reality? Because then he wakes up and it's at a time in the past when he's still with his wife, and he wakes up and he's too cold at night because the window is open, and he has a bit of a grumble. But I was like, oh fucking hell, window!
There's the fucking window open. Got icicles on the top lip.
Letting the bloody cold in, and then his wife says, "Oh, you don't let the cold in, mate. Your heat goes out." It's the way thermodynamics works, Jacob. But you're the professor around here. And then he's complaining about it, and then again, people that look to initiate sex in strange ways. So he goes, "Oh, fuck's sake! I had a dream I was going out with Jezebel from the blooming post office, and
living with her."
She said, "Oh, it was a blooming blooming nightmare. It was. She is absolutely quality at sex, though. She got wicked thighs, and his wife is like." Oh, really? Do you? Right. And then it goes from it being like a little bit of a conversation about opening and closing the windows, bit of narc about that in the nighttime, to maybe we'll have some sex, but who should pour on cold water than that? The ultimate in contraception. Macaulay Culkin turning up and going, "Hey, you guys, what are you doing?" And it's like,
"What are you doing here? Get off each other!"
Riding a paint can into the room.
He rides that paint can into the room and smashes that sexual encounter right in the face, knocking its gold teeth right out of its head. And he goes, "Oh, couldn't sleep." And he goes, "All right, I'll one of us put you back to bed then." "Who do you want to put you back to bed?" says the parents. And they both look at each other hopefully, and he goes,
"Classic.
Dad." And it's like, oh, fine. And he takes him back to bed. Macaulay Culkin has his own bed, whereas his two brothers have a bunk bed. And when they wake up, he goes, "Oh, go back to sleep." But he'll stay with Macaulay Culkin as long as he wants and read him stories. Not that he's got a favourite or anything, even retrospectively. So he sees Macaulay Culkin for a bit, and then I think that's the duration of it. It's just a nice, touching moment between them that I guess is to show how much he thinks Macaulay Culkin is brilliant.
It's weird because I mean, I didn't see any of this as really happening. I just sort of saw it all as he was just jumping between different periods of his life, different imaginations of what may happen in the future or may not.
With hindsight, I thought, okay, this is a memory within something else that are memories. But for a moment, I was like, okay, if what we're seeing is the present day and he's now gone back into a memory, in the past, did he really have a dream about being married to Jezebel from the post office and there was a prophetic nature to it? Has he, as I say, has he Dr. Manhattaned it and is experiencing all time periods of his life simultaneously?
I didn't see it as a memory. I saw it as like he's kind of got two options. He's dying and he's got two options to experience his death. Either with Jezebel, which is the hellish version, or with his wife, which is the sort of acceptance and the nice version. He keeps flicking between the two. But I mean, it's not like a tangible, solid plot, is it? It's a bit more of a take what you want from it, I guess. Yeah.
So in his memory, as he's trying to come to terms. Sorry, Ben, you go.
It doesn't seem totally hellish with Jezebel. I mean, hellish to a degree.
Yeah.
But they seem to have some nice times. Apart from when she just goes really angry and scary at one point. That was.
But weird. I mean, after the bath, it's gone. I don't think she have any nice times after that, did he?
After the bath, yeah.
It always happens. She's nice to him at the funeral, but
yeah.
Oh yeah.
But the you're right. There's kind of a, as we come to later, and it's like a memory firing and experiencing possible lives you could have. Yeah. Is it like a sliding doors? Although with Gabe alive, this is his experience before the war. So this is
that's right. Yeah.
So this is almost a before and after. So it's a memory of his past when he was happy, I guess. But it is a life because it mentions that Gabe passes away, and this is mentioned at the beginning. His son Gabriel died before he went to Vietnam. So that was a thing that happened, and it was obviously a happy point in his life. Whereas his life with Jezzy appears to be after the breakdown of his marriage and he's returned from Vietnam. What he maybe would find himself doing, what his life might be. And maybe that's it, because we'll come to it when he has another chat with Dad, what that actually means. But as we come back to the future, we have an opener that shows Jezzy is very happy that he's recovered, and is alive. They go through that. They've broken the fever and he's fine. And what he needs to do now is rest. And then we very quickly jump through to having rested and read Dante's Inferno for 2 weeks. And Jezzy is sick of him just milling about the house. Just like, oh, fuck's sake, why don't you go out or something? And he goes, oh, I won't because I'm mad now. And she goes, oh, what's all this? And he shoves her because she looks like the devil. He goes, oh, who are you? And he goes, fuck's sake, Jacob, I'm
did
going
look like
out.
the devil there.
Yeah. She did look like the devil in his defense. I mean, yeah, but she wasn't, because when he pushes her, it's her again. So it's clearly not going well. I mean, are we led to believe that has he experienced this in real time, or is it flashing for him as well?
I have no idea. Do you think, what are you saying? Do you think he's experiencing this plot in the way that we are as we're watching it as well?
Yeah, is it like flashes in between for us, or is it just for our narrative purposes? Like, obviously, it would be a Snyder cut level of length if we actually to watch him read Dante's Inferno in real time.
Yeah, maybe in the director's cut.
Yeah,
you see him literally.
Oh,
that's a good bit.
Yeah,
spooky picture.
This bit's well boring.
I wish Mark Hamill was voicing this. Yeah, he's losing it, and it's clearly getting more difficult for him when he gets a call from one of his old colleagues in the army who we didn't really talk about, but when we saw the flashback, he was a character who was almost sitting motionless and sort of paralyzed by fear as all of the things unfolded around them. His name is Paul, and he wants to speak to Jacob because only he would understand him, and he's losing it. So they, typical, his girlfriend Jessie wants him to go out, and he's not having any of it. One of the boys phones him up, and he's straight out down the pool hall, and that's where he meets Paul, who talks through similar experiences to the ones that Jacob is having, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they're all having similar demonic disturbances in their life.
And he describes at this point, I'm going to hell. There are demons attacking me. I see them everywhere. I don't know who I can trust. I've come to tell you. Jacob believes him, and they realize that they need to tackle this together. There is a mysterious stranger who is clearly taking notice of their conversation. And then after a brief scene, we go to leave the bar, and this is one of those nice moments where you as a viewer, it clicks for you just moments before it clicks for the characters. I think I was watching it with Karen, and she turned to me and said, "This car's going to blow up."
Oh no!
And lo and behold, yeah, Paul is much like Dr. Carlson, dies in a car accident, aka exploded.
Well, yeah, classic accident.
The person who pulls Jacob away from an explosion, is that the doctor who
is the scientist?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I noticed this a few times. I might be completely wrong on this. I didn't even rewind it to check if I was right on it. I swear that Paul, who obviously got exploded in the car, he was there when they were all giving him an ice bath. I swear. I should have rewound it because it was almost like the cast of characters kind of like bleed into scenes, and sometimes they're there.
I feel like their army friends are sometimes in the background. They sometimes become the wobbly head people.
Also, and also his army friends, they definitely all died, did they not? I think Rames definitely did.
Yeah.
That
was. I guess this is one of the first things as well. Like, I think not knowing the plot and not unpicking that he has died at this point. When you see the funeral, that's one of the flags you get. Like, Ving Rhames was definitely having some type of fit and dying in this early bit, and we saw someone else. I can't tell again without rewinding. I'm sure it must have been one of those other characters we see with a leg hanging off. But these guys are all in a terrible state, and now we see them all together at this at this funeral for Paul, which again is another nice little hint that there's something that's not quite right about the reality that's that's going on here. And we start now to build in those layers that show different things that could happen, because they have a funeral, and then as the guys get together and they're talking about the things that Paul has said to them, with the exception with Rob, who insists he's not going crazy and he's not seeing anything. As soon as they begin to mention it, you see the others begin to show signs that they're clearly afraid of it as well, and they have these this shared experience. I wonder if that means that Rob potentially isn't dead, but they're clearly all having the same thing, and they begin to believe that the government has potentially done something to them. This is where the government conspiracy angle begins to arrive into the film, and they all pop along to see George Costanza.
Yeah, a bit of a younger George Costanza. I think he's got most of his hair at this point. He's fiery little lawyer man. I think he decides to take the case, or kind of says, "I'll look into it, see what I can find out." But I don't think it's long before he denies the case or
Yeah,
refuses
Denies
to
the
take it
case, but
on.
then it's because Jacob's like comrades, they've apparently
Oh,
backed
yeah,
out. Even though like just before they were like, yeah, let's do this, we're gonna do it, we're gonna get to the bottom of it. But then literally later that evening or the next day, they're all like, nah, we just can't be
yeah,
bothering with it.
and it's all very quickly comes unraveled. So like he goes from again having like some hope that this is going to be solved and there is a rational explanation to it to no, all of us have dropped out, and he phones one of his friends who immediately goes, well, don't bother talking to the others. We've all made our mind up, and as he and don't call anymore. Again, maybe taking away that area of support as well. And then as he hangs up, all of the other guys are together. Jacob goes to see George Costanza, who then throws something else into it as well, which is, well, I looked into this. And your record showed that you were all your entire like squad was discharged on mental health grounds because something happened to you all and you all lost it after a training exercise in Thailand. None of you are even in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And that makes him furious.
Yeah,
he sort of,
Yeah, bloody was.
listen, that wasn't just holiday, mate, in Thailand. I was in Vietnam for the war.
Yeah.
And he sort of roughs up George a little bit and then scarpers off, only to be abducted by some G-men.
Yeah.
This
I
is
mean,
proper random, isn't it?
it
So
is quite random.
they tried to intimidate him. What do they say to him? They say
It's the
you're
police sergeant from Ace Ventura, and he goes, "Oh, you're all washed up, mate. Don't you put your nose where it don't belong? Who you've been talking to? Don't mess with things." And again, this builds into this conspiracy they want to cover up because he does have the feeling that maybe someone has got to his friends and made them clam up and want to back away from pursuing the incident. And they threaten him with a gun in the back of the car and say, right, don't be kicking this particular hornet's nest, Jacob. Don't care how tall you are. We'll sort you right out. And then he
Stretches his legs out.
he
he
uses
does pretty
his
well,
powerful,
doesn't he? Like
uses
does kick
powerful joints.
does kick ass.
He's all elbows. He's elbowing both of them in the face.
Particularly sharp elbows, yeah.
Yeah, and this is made a note of this scene. This is almost a parallel to when he's running down the street earlier on, right? The car is weaving and crashing side to side in a very similar way to what he saw earlier as a man running down the street.
Yeah, also, Gabe is mown down by a car.
By a
His
car.
son. I wonder if there's like something there, like some reason why he keeps.
There was going to
all
be like
of
some
these
sort
whole
of
things.
cut towards the car that was swerving after him earlier. Like,
Yeah.
we didn't really find out anything else about that, and I thought there was going to be some weird thing where they were in that car and it was swerving around, and then they ended up chasing him. Like there was some weird crossover with timelines.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I feel knowing
half
what we
expecting
do
that.
about the timeline and what we actually know when we come to the end. Is it just that the portions here, because they aren't events that have happened, it's almost like composite from things that he does know, and we're not seeing new things. So we know from that memory with his wife that Jezzy was a woman that worked at the post office, that he had some awareness of. The characters that you see in the background, and maybe Ben, to your point, there aren't people that live in that apartment building, so maybe his brain does fill in the blanks with one of his friends from the army.
That would make sense.
That car crash with the car chasing him to torment him, and the one that he's in are visuals that he knows from the time his son was run over, so are in his memory. So maybe this is all just composite footage of
his memories.
Yeah, things that are within his memory. And we've had a couple of flashes at this point as well, right, that really speak to flashes back to this whole being picked up by medics from the army in Vietnam and so on as well. So we flashed between things with like an increasing rapidity.
Yeah, because now it's like it feels like a conspiracy. So for the first time, rather than there being something supernatural or something where he's at his PTSD, now it feels like, there's some sort of government conspiracy to cover up something that was going on in Vietnam. So this is the first instance where I guess, because before when the character Paul was saying he's seeing demons and people are watching him and following him, you kind of think, okay, so he's having the same sort of hallucinations as Jacob Slatter. But now I guess you're starting to think, okay, right, so there's some form of government conspiracy going on, and there's these agents who are trying to cover it up, trying to cover their tracks.
Yeah, and we end that scene with him elbowing agents that he dives out of the car, lands on the sidewalk. You know what bit of him he lands on? His back, which is famously bad.
Yeah, it's famously bad. Yeah, and then gets mugged by Santa Claus.
Yeah, Santa Claus robs his wallet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which is then goes to the hospital scene, which I think whenever this film comes up in conversation, the hospital scene is the one that seems to come up the most. They wheel him in, and they're like, "What happened to you?" And he goes, "Santa Claus stole my wallet or something." And they go, "We need to go."
It's even Christmas time. It's not even Christmas time, is it? What's that Santa Claus doing knocking about?
And then they wheel him, and they get him down to X-ray, and they're wheeling him through what looks like the similar hospital place to where he was earlier in the film, and it's focusing on the wobbly wheel, and as it's going around this kind of circuit around the hospital, it's getting wobblier, and it starts to like roll up. The floor gets dirtier. There's suddenly people on the roof looking down at him in some sort of mesh thing, like people with like short, like no
it's like
legs
a horrible. It's like becomes like a horrible like
ghost train,
like asylum,
just stuck on
like
a ghost train.
There's loads of givens on the floor. Like
yeah,
people have been playing like Quake 2, and have been giving people, and there's just like chunks of people on the floor. And it becomes
there's a guy bleeding because he's bashing his face into the wind. There's a lot of that kind of guy. Yeah,
it's that guy. He's just like he's got a spider on his head, and he's like, whoa, hey,
yeah,
get it off, Harry.
This is one of these things, right?
What's his name? Home Alone.
Yeah, it's Marv. Marv has got a spider on him. It's and this is where, like, if you play it very straight, there are a few scenes that you could take. I think you could probably cut less than 10 minutes out of this movie, and it would be a thriller, right? Or like a mystery film.
Yeah.
You could cut not too much out of this, and it would be a very different film. It's moments like this that land it truly in horror. It's the party, the Vietnam scene.
Yeah.
It's this one in particular is really, really extreme. So you get all of those very quick, very overwhelming images of, the horrific scenes, the guy bashing his head against the wall, and then we get the bit where the doctors are surrounding him and they're preparing to lobotomize him or something equally unpleasant, right? So they are, putting his head in a vice. One of the doctors is Jezebel. There is another doctor.
I didn't know you worked here.
Has no eyes.
Post office.
So
instead of singing "Wait a minute, Mr. Postman," he goes like, "Doctor, doctor." But the news is that he's got a bad case of needing a needle right in the head.
Yeah, the guy who gives him the injection, he's got no eyes. It's like flesh over his face. And they're saying, "You're dead, Jacob," and he's saying, "I don't want to be dead" or something. He goes, "Well, why are you here then?"
Tough.
Yeah.
Why do you think you're here then? Yeah, exactly. Where's this place if you're not dead? At this point I'm thinking, he is dead, and now it's all unraveled. Like reality is unraveled, and this is what's left behind. Like this is like legit. This is horrible. Where he is.
This is horrible hell, right? And he gets a needle stuck right in his head, and we sort of flashed out of this horrible nightmare sequence where he is he's in a fairly depressing hospital still, but it's not one that's full of meat and body parts. His wife and his his wife and his sons, the other two sons, come to visit him. They say, his wife Sarah goes as far as to say that she does still love him and just wants him to be okay, and they'll sort all those things out.
His daughter starts laughing. She's like, "Hey, you're right, Dad."
I think that's the boy, right? It's bigger name's Eli.
Oh, okay, sorry, Eli. I
think so. I think Andy's frozen.
But he's just like laughing at the poor dad that's been through a lot. Is Andy frozen?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, I'm frozen for a second. I'm back now.
You're back.
Yeah.
And then obviously his dad Repractor turns up, absolutely fuming, just spitting feathers, fuming at the fact that Jacob's in the hospital. And he's like, "Don't you? Why is he so angry? Just because?"
I don't know. About back. He's like, he's just got a bad back, and he's like, oh, he's going to need to be in this hospital for a month. Sorry, you might have said that while I was frozen, but he was like, oh, you're gonna have to be in here for a month. Fix this back in 10 minutes, mate. And he's
his leg suspended on a rope, and he goes, "What is this? The Dark Ages?" And he takes it off.
Yeah.
As if that's how he used to heal legs. Yeah.
Just hang it up, innit? What's wrong with this leg? Don't know, but hang it up. It'll be all right in a bit. Okay, I will.
He threatens to wrap like a bit of metal around a nurse's neck. If they come close.
Very aggressive.
Yeah, he comes and he goes, I am furious that you've not treated this patient.
He even says, I'm upset. I'm very upset.
I'm very upset.
He's walking
I'm
out.
the dad Repractor, and I'm off.
He kicks off and he rescues him from the hospital, right? He checks him out. He runs him through there. He does bash the door open with his legs. I suppose his legs aren't
he
bad.
just watch your toes, bang.
Yeah.
Watch your toes. There's not really anything I can do, bang. Unlucky.
He takes him back to his clinic, I guess, and he is able to fix his back lickety split. He's
we got it, Dickie.
Yeah.
You just gotta back. Yeah, you take a couple of deep breaths. He gives it a little snap around. To be honest, he has to do less than last time. He only has to get him to go on one side. But he imparts a bit of dadly wisdom at the end. He goes, I thought I was dying and going to hell. He goes, very briefly, you'll see these things. And it is a bit like you're going to hell. Because these horrible beasties want to strip away all these parts of your life. But
I've got the quote here, which I kind of feel like is the director probably saw this and went, let's do the entire film based on this. So it's Meister Eckhart. Says the only thing that burns in hell is the part of you that won't let go of life, your memories, your attachments. They burn them all away, but they're not punishing you. They're freeing your soul. So if you're frightened of dying and you're holding on, you'll see devils tearing your life away. But if you made your peace, then the devils are really angels freeing you from the earth. I kind of feel like that's the key theme of the entire movie.
And I think it's a nice message. And basically it means that all those things aren't necessarily good or bad. It's how you interpret them, right? Whether they are, taking your life away or just freeing you from it. And that's a nice thing about it. But it doesn't end with that little bit of knowledge just yet. We still have a little bit of a way to go on the conspiracy track. It would almost be, I like the stuff that's to follow, but it almost feels like you could have accelerated to the end there, but then I guess you're left with the mystery we've been developing unresolved.
Yeah, so that scientist guy meets up with him, and he says that he made a drug called Ladder, and they were testing it. Like I think he was a drug dealer, he was a chemist, and he got arrested. So then they strong-armed him into joining the army to develop drugs. And he said they tested it on monkeys first, and the monkeys all killed each other. And then they tested it on children.
I will begin human trials.
We'll start with the smaller humans first.
Yeah,
the children. They killed each other, I think, right? And then they went, okay, it's now ready for for using on fully grown army men with weapons.
Yeah, but we'll just give them like a little, like a soupçon. We'll just give them like a dash. We'll give them
a little pipette's worth, yeah.
Yeah, we'll give them literally just a dash in
So
their
he describes
in their rations.
he describes it being called ladder because it like leads people directly down into hell. And I was like, in terms of snakes and ladders rules, that's a snake. Snake takes you down, ladder takes you up, right?
Depends
But
which way the board is.
You couldn't call the film Jacob's Snake, because I imagine there's probably already a film about that, or there's a wrestler with a similar name that's contemporary, so he would have had words about that.
You'd have been fuming about that, yeah. So yeah, basically the big reveal in this movie is that at the beginning in Vietnam, when they thought they were getting attacked by enemies, it was just all of them attacking each other, going ape shit on each other and shooting each other to death. And when Jacob was stabbed by a bayonet, it was just one of his fellow soldiers.
Gabe.
It was Gabe with little war paint on. Ah!
That's why
I'm gonna kill this kid.
Yeah.
Eat brick, kid.
What? I didn't recognize the guy who killed him, who stabbed.
Neither did I. No,
must
neither
be
did
a
I.
new guy.
Be like one of his mates or something, but no.
Oh, baby, was it Gary or whoever it was? Was it his friend that said he wasn't going mad? Because that'd make sense. What was his name? Not Gary.
Yeah, I really don't know. So yeah,
Rob.
After that, we then see Jacob go back to his family home. I guess I was confused initially. I was like, "Is this his home or is this?"
He gets a taxi and and again, maybe this is symbolic of everything he gathers his army things, like he grabs his certificate of service and he grabs most notably his dog tags, so those things that were with him at that point of his life, that he also verifies to him that the conspiracy elements weren't true. It's not that he's was discharged with mental health conditions. All these things exist, but I guess theoretically it's about having those things with him for what's about to happen now. And he goes and sees her, gets in a taxi and just says, like, this is the money I have, I want you to take me home. And the taxi driver takes him. He gets to the building and the doorman knows him. He's like, "Oh, Dr. Slatter, come on in."
Dr. Slatter, where have you been all my life? Come in.
He's like, "Oh, do you need anything?" He's like, "Nah, I've got everything I need." He goes in. He goes into the house, and it's kind of peaceful. I guess we're led to believe it's nighttime and the family are asleep and what have you. But old Macaulay, Gabe, is there on the stairs playing with, I don't know, it's Teddy Ruxpin or something. Like, he's got like some toys that he's playing with, and he says, he greets him and basically says, "Oh, shall we go up the stairs?" And
seen you smooching with my brother.
Yeah.
Smooching with everyone.
You've been smooching with everybody. Cheeks, Boney Bab, Cliff.
I
was in Vietnam, baby.
Would undercut the drama of the whole film if he'd gone to follow Macaulay Culkin up the stairs, and rather than a stairway to heaven, it was just like they were paint kit and swinging down.
I knew you were gonna say that. I knew you were gonna. I knew. I just knew. So he goes upstairs, like into a bright light. So like it's not very. I mean, it's pretty obvious what the metaphor is here. For bright light bulbs or whatever. And then the scene turns back to there's a triage tent in Vietnam where the military doctors declare Jacob dead.
Well, they say he put up a hell of a fight though, because I don't know, I guess all this kind of took, my reading is all this took part in his drug-addled final moments.
And I guess that's it as well, right? I guess it becomes so surreal, and this is where we have this extra dimension to it, because it isn't just, the firing synapses and the life flashing before the eyes of the dying man. It's a man who is dying and who is struggling on the brink of life and death, who's also off his face on LSD.
Experience in his past.
I've been reading a lot of Grant Morrison recently, and it feels kind of Grant Morrison-y now that I think about it. Like the drugs are kind of letting him live in this other reality that's not real, but in his head, sort of thing. Like I said at the start, I usually really hate that kind of film. It's just they were dying all along, or it's all in the head all along. But this one feels there was an Inside Number 9 episode that had a similar vibe to it. I don't know, say the title of it because it would be a bit of a spoiler, but I think it's on the second season of Inside Number 9. And that one struck me really like in an emotional place. This one kind of did, maybe the second, I don't think I did on the first watch, but this time around I was watching throughout, even during the scary bits, I was like, this feels kind of sad. It's like it's a bittersweet film of a guy realizing that he's losing out on life. Like it's quite, depressing in a way.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that it would be very easy to kind of it'd be very easy to kind of lose the whole thing and lean into a very, very simplified binary thing about there's heaven and hell, and you've chosen to go with God and make it a religious thing. I'm not religious. It's like obviously fine that a lot of people are, particularly around subjects of life and death, because no one really wants to die. But I think it's very nicely treated in the fact that the demons and the angels, whatever, it's how you perceive those things. This struggle as to whether you want to, cling on to life and the life you had, even though you are dying, or are you trying to move on from it, and it's whether you go with it or struggle against it. And I think it was effective. And then just to cover that whole thing with the film as well, we're left with that little bit of text at the end that says, they did put LSD in loads of soldiers' stuff. I was like, oh
yeah.
So I've got some name game for you if you guys are ready.
Always.
Okay, so this first one I watched was a film about a guy called Jacob, and everybody keeps confusing Jacob's ladder for his real ladder, but it's not his real ladder.
It's not his real ladder. Jacob's.
Jacob's stepladder.
Jacob's stepladder. It's not a real ladder.
It's a step ladder. I was worried, but it's good.
Another one I watched is about Jacob. He dies, and in his sort of purgatory, he has to urinate out all of the demons before he can be welcomed into heaven.
This is Jacob's bladder.
Jacob's bladder. Jacob and his friends are all complaining about who's the most upset by being dead.
Jacob's badder.
Close.
Jacob
and his friends are all complaining about who's the most upset about being dead.
Jacob's. I'm sadder. Jacob's sadder.
Jacob's sadder.
I don't know when I'm came in.
I got to the word gladder before sadder, because that's the opposite of what I want.
Jacob and his friends are all trying to make the best pancake mix.
Jacob's
pancake batter.
Jacob's batter. And the last one I watched was a great film. Jacob tries to convince everyone that he is the worst at English grammar.
Jacob's batter.
Jacob's batter.
I said that for a different one. I said that for an earlier one. Does that mean I get the point for that one, please?
Sure. You can have all of them. It's all in how you perceive the questions and the points and the point of that game.
Yeah. If you find them frustrating and
it's your own fault.
Yeah. Then they're like demons tearing your life and sanity away. But if you just made peace with it.
Yeah. Made piece of shit with it. Okay, we need to rate the film.
After you, Andy, go on.
Wow. Put me on the spot here. But you know what? I liked it. It's probably going to add to that list of films that are excellent. I probably couldn't watch too often because it's an impactful movie and it touches on some serious things, and the spooks in it are pretty harrowing at times, but it's really effectively done. I came away having watched it being really glad I'd seen it, and I think if people are asking for a recommendation of something that'll stick with you, and those visuals and the story behind it are ones to mull over and think about, it would certainly be one of those that I would recommend. So I'm going to give a B.
What about you, Ben?
Yeah, I think I'll go for a B as well. I thought it was pretty effective. First time I've seen this as well. Even though I've seen like lots of different bits of it in the past. I've seen the head shaky bits. I think I've seen the party scene as well. But yeah, a really effective film, and one that like keeps you kind of. It's not one of those films where you guess into the end, where you're like, "Oh, what's the big reveal going to be?" It's kind of like it kind of slowly unravels in front of you, doesn't it? And even at the end, you can still kind of make up your own mind of what the running time of the film included, whether it was all a dream or whether it was some flashbacks and stuff. And so yeah, I give it a B. Effective, and Tim Robbins, always good, and such a tall man.
Cool. I'm gonna go B plus. I really like it. I think I like it more. I liked it more this time than the first time I watched it. Yeah, it's just a nice. It's that bittersweet film just makes you kind of appreciate your life and your loved ones a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. What we do next week?
So next week we're going to be doing Species with John Crinan from a Nice Chianti podcast.
Oh, cool.
And Quizmaster, official quiz champion. Sorry, not Quizmaster. That's you, Andy. Sorry. Quiz champion, one half of the quiz champions joining us for that. So that should be fun.
Yeah, I mean, do let him know. Do remind him of that question he got embarrassingly wrong. If you want to make yourself feel better about that win.
What question did he get embarrassingly wrong? Remind me.
I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go back and see what he was suffering over.
Yeah, let's do it. That's good.
But you guys have got a great film to watch. I am looking forward to your hot takes against that all-star cast.
Yeah, massive all-star cast. Let's do it. Looking forward to
Who's in it? Michael Madsen.
Loads of people are in it. It's got like Ben Kingsley,
Alfred Molina,
Alfred Molina.
Oh yeah. Does Alfred Molina play like a cool guy? Is that Michael Madsen? Michael Madsen plays cool guy.
I can't remember.
Yeah. All I know about Alfred Molina is that I think he's diabetic in it, or he has some kind of illness, which means he has to get murdered.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Should be
cool.
fun.
All right. I've not seen that for years, so that'd be interesting to watch again. Yeah. All right. So thanks for listening. If you can become a patron over at patreon.com/Hawk and Cleaver. Thanks to Kovac Kalman for our theme music. Thanks to Acast for hosting the show. Thanks to the listeners. If you enjoyed the show, please consider rating and reviewing. And remember to hit subscribe. I think we're going to do something with reviews at some point. Maybe do some sort of giveaway or something. I think Andy might have frozen again.
Yeah. He's just quietly agreeing with you. That's all he's doing. Yeah, we were gonna try and find some reviews. So anyone listening to the show, if you want to give it a review, let us know. Cool. Where's the best place to review? On iTunes?
Probably iTunes or even Podchaser.
Podchaser, yeah, which we mentioned already. Yeah. Go and give us the show a review, and we'll read it out on the show. And we'll work out some sort of giveaway or some sort of special thing we can do, which could be fun.
And he's back.
Yeah, and he's back.
Were you in Vietnam for a second there?
He was. He was in an ice bath, I think. That's really what he was doing.
Cool. All right. Thanks to my co-host Ben for being a right hard dude, and also thanks to Andy for being a right hard dude.
Thank you guys for both being excellent horror dudes.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure as always.
Nice one. Bye.